Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, January 10th, 2026, as we turn our production time back from 2 p.m. from 6 p.m. Pacific all the way back down to 10 p.m. It's our time to go ahead and thank our friends across the pond for being a part of Disclosure Tonight for their own live show for the weekend. Now let's go ahead and welcome our audience. Who the heck do we have out there? We have Amiga Rules. Andy W. from the UK is in the chat along with Anne Marie. We've got a Phil is here along with Bradley and Cosdeep. I see Craig Smith. Digger Dog's here along with Eliza Teal. Evan B's in the chat along with Firefly. We've got BGO stuff. Spotted your name. Sorry about that, my friend. We got Golden's here along with... Oh, I need to increase the chat because my eyes are getting tired. Jericho's here along with Jet Set Journeys. I see John and Kathy and King Bull and Max Metal. Mendelopus is here along with Necessary Dialogue. And Niles Guy, our resident pitfall. Watch out, trolls. He's got your name and he's ready to use the El Kabong on you. We got Roni D.
Music is loud and we can't hear you that well.
Well, you will hear me in a second. I'll fix you in a second as soon as I get to the audience and get through this intro. Sorry, guys. I'll mute you. Get through this right now. We got Roni Deal, Sam's here, Scooby Dooby Gooby, Shelly Montgomery, Stephen Tail, the Chromosome Cowboy, the Wasteland, Turtlehead 420, Two Midgets on a Horse, Warrior Class, X42B, and Yankee 5858 is here. How about that? That means I get to go into the studio now and fix what the heck is going on. All right, guys. So yeah, the audio got a little screwed up from you last night. You were on Meet Audio. I've got my audio cranked all the way up, and I need to take the stuff from OBS and turn it down. That should take care of it, man. How you doing? Can you hear me now? Should be able to. Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Good. It's perfect.
All right, perfect. Little hiccups. Yeah, it turns out that Google Meet doesn't prioritize my audio as the meeting host. And when other audio things are going on, people in the back don't hear me because they're loud. You guys were understanding last night were parts of the time where it's the back not hearing me. No. However, I do have an opportunity to go ahead and bring out my phone as necessary and scream into it at this point if I have to go ahead and get their attention. And I will do that. Wow. For those who were around for yesterday's show, interesting things coming from David. And of course, also coming from Lou Elizondo. And very heated at the part of the show that we didn't plan on, but interesting to say nonetheless. I think some of our audience members were running away covering their eyes and their ears, but some of them actually hung back and they enjoyed it. Amazing what happens when you bring up something that's not disclosure related. You know why? Because we have a diverse group in our back panel. Democrat, Republican, or independent, and everyone has a view. Let's rock and roll with it. All right, so getting into top stories for today. Let me get... Where did I do? Brave browser. Bring this. Go to there. A lot of stuff going on in the world today, folks. Lots of things going on. One of the stories I want to get into kind of relates to closure, kind of. Cover this. Audience. Let me find it. So, this is a story coming to us over on X. Seems to have some legs to it. So let's go ahead, cover this story of what's going on because, yeah, it's kind of pointed to like what we're going to be talking about here is actually real. So I'm going to read through this and get a picture up here of the week. On that. Show it. Yeah, we've got stuff out there that people don't realize that we're going to use when we conflict to go ahead and prevent people. Colonel John Alexander, someone who known as non-lethal, places. Helped a lot of technology time at the National Lab, Los Alamos. So all right. So this isn't, let me get into this here. Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting, you sorted us out. Now it looks like people in the front are actually complaining about the sound. So, yeah.
My audio issues, I am cutting out. Let me watch what's going on. Let me increase my volume just a little bit. How about now? I've increased it a little bit. Am I still cutting out? People were saying I sounded good before, but now I am... Sounds fine now. Sounds good now. No complaint. Yeah, the back was complaining about the audio, so I was taking the dials yesterday and touching the ones that I'm not supposed to touch.
It sounds good.
Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and do this then. I'll have to listen afterwards. It's probably peaking a little high, but we'll have fun with it anyway. Okay, into our top story here that's interesting. This is an account coming from a Venezuelan security guard loyal to Nicolas Maduro. It's absolutely chilling and explains a lot about why the tone across Latin America has suddenly changed. Now, the security guard coming into here, on the day of the operation, we did not hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly all our radar systems shut down without any explanations. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones flying over our positions. We didn't know how to react. So the interviewer wanted to know what happened next. How was the main attack? Security guard says, after those drones appeared, some helicopters arrived, but there were very few. I think barely 8 helicopters. From the helicopters, soldiers came down, but a very small number, maybe 20 men. But those men were technologically very advanced. They didn't like anything we fought against before, or even trained for that matter. And then the battle began. He was asked, and he comes into it and says, yes, but it was a massacre. We had no chance. They were shooting at us with such precision and speed. It seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. We couldn't do anything. They asked them, what about your weapons? Didn't they help? They said, no, help at all, because it wasn't just the weapons. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly, I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from the nose. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. And their comrades, did they manage to resist? The security guard says, no, not at all. Those 20 men, without a single casualty, killed a bunch of us. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapons. I swear I've never seen anything like it. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it was. Andy, go ahead.
Sounds a lot to me like they were with the, what is it called, the Havana syndrome or something? Yeah, with where those people in the embassy, U.S. embassy in Cuba, were getting affected by. I don't think
it's well. Those are directed microwave energy waves. What we're dealing with here is technology that was developed by the U.S. military almost going back 20 years ago, if not farther. That our research into non-lethal weaponry includes sound devices, includes microwave devices that'll even, if you want to call it, boil the water at the edge of your skin to make your skin feel like it's on fire to get you to disperse without actually, taking people out. So they were using whatever weapons they could to disable as they were coming in. And it's interesting to hear this kind of an accounting from a war or a military action that went on. Let's just call it that. So let's get to it a little bit more, Andy. Now, the security guard was asked in this interview, so do you think the rest of the region should think twice about confronting the Americans? Security guard says, without a doubt, I'm sending warnings to anyone who thinks they can fight the United States. They have no idea what they're capable of. After what I saw, I never want to be on the other side again. They're not to be messed with, interviewer says. And now the Trump has said Mexico is on the list. Do you think the situation will change in Latin America? Security goes on to speculate. Everyone is already talking about this. No one wants to go through what we went through. Now everyone thinks twice. What happened here is going to change a lot of things, not just Venezuela, but throughout the whole region. This tweet was even reposted from the official account from the press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt. So it's out there. It's talking about what we have, but these type of technologies, I think we've been aware of. Mike, are you with us? He's got doctor duty right now, so we may be unavailable. Yeah, but interesting times to say the least. We didn't hear about these types of things that were going on. Yeah, people are saying Delta Force is badass in different situations. It's interesting to hear from the other side of what kind of things went on, but it shows, yeah, we have an advanced arsenal, and at this point, it sounds like it's more advanced than one we had going in Afghanistan or even Iraq, for that matter. Daryl, your hand is up.
Yeah, just to throw out there an acronym that I've seen thrown around, something called an LRAD, Long Range Acoustic Device, which is, a lot of these have been military guys are talking about. Right.
Now, in talking with some friends over messages, I've got a picture here, I believe. Oh, it's not here. Son of a bitch. See if I can find it. Laura, go ahead. I had a picture I could show of these devices that these have been used in San Francisco in the past against people. So it's something that they've had when they've been police officers have been unable to use plastic bullets or other things, that they've used this technology. Go ahead.
Chris Bledsoe, whether or not they told him the truth or not, on Jesse Michaels at the end of the show, talked about weapons. They use, they're able to mind wipe people. And also, he said they transmit chemicals to radio waves, which I don't even know if that's possible. He said 100 yards, shoot you with chemicals and drugs at 100 yards. Interesting, huh?
Yeah. I've never heard of that one.
Nope.
Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, there are LRAD devices. I've got some pictures up here I can go ahead and bring up that are larger ones that would be mounted on vehicles, but they also do have handheld devices. So it's not like you're going to have people running around with backpacks. They actually have smaller devices that they can actually go ahead and use. There's another one mounted that would be used to be mounted on a truck, but then getting back to the handheld devices, there you go. So this is regular technology, but it's interesting to hear they used it to limit the impact of the operation that went on down south. We haven't heard about this being used by the United States in the past. All right, let me get back into here. Where am I at? Zoom solo. All right. Let me go ahead and find next. I've got a bunch of other stuff for us to get into. All right. On our next piece, I want to go ahead and cover. It's not on the title card, but it's something we're going to get into. James Fox is going to be holding a press conference in Washington, D.C. on January 20th. Let me go ahead and bring this up here as well. Desktop only. Thomas. All right, let's get into it. I can probably do it this way. There we go. Let me shrink myself down, pull it down off to the side, and I'll be able to go ahead and go through this. All right, James Fox is holding a UAP press conference in Washington, D.C. With witness, experts, and members of Congress. Where is it? We're talking about the National Press Club. I believe this is the same press club that Dr. Greer went in like 2012, 2010, around that time, went and made some, if you want to call it, disclosures at the time with Robert Salas and other whistleblowers. So when is this? It's going to be January 20th, 2026. Initial part of it is going to be between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. They're going to have a Brazilian first-hand witness of a crashed UFO and live human beings. So some first-hand accountings. Probably not any evidence, folks, but we'll have some first-hand accounts. And from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we have American insiders on crash retrievals, biologics, and call for immunity for whistleblowers. I know there's been a lot of pushback lately on whistleblowers getting any anonymity. They should. If they're going to blow the whistle and bring out the truth, whistleblowers deserve anonymity, absolutely. And I guess if people are in part of the deep state program, I guess just determines a lot of times they say, people were following orders, but then we know where that has gone in the past. So let's get into it. The Brazil part one. For the first time ever, a leading Make this larger so our audience can see it. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. Let me just fix this a little bit narrower. Come on. See this here. Move this over there. Move this in a little bit. All right. Here we go. Part one is Brazil. For the first time ever, a neurosurgeon is revealing details of his direct contact in a hospital with a live, non-human, intelligent being in 1996. He and other Brazilian witnesses will be at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. on January 20th for the press conference. Quote, "The truth is, I saw the being. It was not a being from our planet," says Dr. Atalio Venturilli, the neurosurgeon who was bedside with the entity at the regional hospital in Varginha, Brazil. "We are talking about something that changes the concept of humanity. It's important for the people to know." January 1996, Varginha, Brazil, numerous witnesses reported a cigar-shaped object in distress, which ultimately crashed in a field outside the city. Several days later, on January 20th, 3 girls ages 14, 16, and 22 came within a few steps of an otherworldly creature cowering in a broad daylight against a wall in a vacant lot. Over time, it was revealed that Brazilian fire department and military police captured 2 non-human beings on that same day. According to the multiple Brazilian government officials, the crash debris and non-human beings, one likely still living, were flown out of Brazil within days by the U.S. Air Force and presumably remain in the possession of a secret U.S. classified research program, which we've been hearing about lately from Grush. This is the most compelling modern-day UFO crash retrieval case involving live non-human beings, and reportedly the American Air Force in history, says investigator and filmmaker James Fox, who was organizing this press conference. This case could ultimately settle the debate by proving we are not alone. And I believe a lot of this stuff is actually coming in, has been covered in James Fox's latest movie, Moment of Contact, New Revolutions, as Alien Encounters, was released globally in January of 2026. Andy, your hand. Andy, your hand is up.
Yeah, I heard you say, and I've just gone back on it too. They say they captured 2 of these entities. Now, I've always been led to believe there was only ever one.
Did I say 2?
So and I've gone back and it says 2 on there. Yeah, but there was the.
No,
I'm taking it that the entity that the girls saw that was cowering against the wall was the one that.
Right, here we go. So yeah, 22. The police captured 2 non-human beings on that same day. So yes.
Yeah. So I've never ever heard of 2 being captured. I always thought it was.
You thought it was one, and it actually looked like this one guy who was a drug addict who cowers in that particular location. So it's just interesting to see that they actually captured 2. We've always heard about 1 in the hospital, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I always thought one was like they captured it, but it was dead, and then the other one happened to be alive still or something.
That's right. That's what, at least in that last thing, this last thing that Fox did that I watched, that's what they talked about.
Yeah. So also attending at this conference is going to be Dr. Armando Fortunato, the forensic pathologist who conducted an autopsy on the body of a young military officer who had died rapidly from unprecedented massive infection after he was inadvertently scratched by the being captured. The full autopsy report will be provided as part of the hearing. Interesting. So can't wait to see where this is going to go. But wait, there's more, because they're going to be covering stuff in America. What are they getting into? Beginning in 2023, numerous intelligence insiders have come forward, often under oath, to report on an ultra-secret special access programs engaged in the recovery and analysis of both crashed vehicles and biologics, defined in this context as biological specimens or bodies of non-human origin. So they're going beyond just biologics, it sounds like. There is no risk to national security from the release of evidence of biological specimens, as they may be exposing with exposing technology from crashed vehicles. This historic press conference will address the issue of non-human biologics as never been done before. As an independent effort, the American speakers at the press conference will be calling upon the executive branch to relax certain security clearance obligations so that insiders who are part of America's UAP quote-unquote legacy unquote program can share classified information with Congress and eventually speak more openly to the public. Furthermore, they will be emphasizing the need to increase information sharing efforts between nations regarding UAP crashes and related biologic recovery. Interesting to say the least. We'll have to see where this all goes and take it a day at a time. And, you know, if this press club will be televised, we're going to have to cover it live, I think. What do you think, Mike? I think you're back.
It depends. What time is this press conference supposed to be?
It's going to go from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern on January 20th, 2026.
Is that what day of the week is that?
Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll cover it.
Yeah, I think so. I probably have to take a day off for that, but it will be worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, yeah. So, and this is coming to us, of course, from the Anomalous Coalition, and can't wait to see where this is going to go. Yeah, this is a breaking story. Like we always said, we're going to go ahead and cover breaking stories. This one hit at the end of last night's show. And I guess Evan B is asking for a poll. All right. We can do a poll, eh, Mike? We like a good poll dance.
Yeah, let's do a poll. Yes,
All
sir.
right. Participants, let's go ahead and do a poll. And okay, let's go what is this called again? They're calling it a UAP press conference. UAP press conference. And we're going to say, more all right. You'll like this one, Mike. So you're not going to let me start this? Come on. Start this survey. Start the poll. All right. We got a poll coming up, my friends. All right. Let's get to it. The UAP press conference. Okay, Google, start a timer for 1 minute and 45 seconds.
1 minute. And that's starting.
Okay,
now.
Google, stop.
Okay, cancel.
Okay, Google, start a timer for 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Okay, 1 minute. Starting now.
All right, let me get my sound effects on this one. Where is the...
I think your Google commands just totally rebooted my house. Thanks.
Sorry. There we go. Where's the pulsing logo, as it's called? All right, folks, let's go ahead and see where this is going to potentially go. All right, so what are we going to get out of this? What is our audience saying? Let's take a look and see. Bring this down a little bit more. We got 3 options, folks. More trust me, bro. Actual evidence or something else. Daryl, where do you think this will take us?
More trust me, bro.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just addicted to it now.
Exactly. Laura, what do you think? Something else? More trust me, bro, or actual evidence?
I actually went out on a limb and I went actual evidence because Leslie mentioned biologics. So I'm curious about that.
Yeah. Interesting. Who else do we have in the back here? If I can find out. Oh, where I need to stretch the window here to see who else have there in the back. Andy W., what do you think? Trust me. How would you vote on this?
I went trust me, bro, but I hope to be proved wrong.
Exactly. Anonymous Rex, are you there, my friend? How would you vote on this one? As always, he remains anonymous. Ed Brown, what say you, our recliner in chief?
Well, I'm going to go with the first option. Trust me, bro.
There we go. Michael Sokoloff from Canada, what say you?
Trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro. Matt Ramone from Ohio.
I'm
think it's gonna be something else.
Something else. There we go. Sarah from California, the place you ought to be. What say you? Nothing, I guess. Let's go next to Manuel in Canada. What say
Sorry,
you?
I missed what you
I'll go
asked.
with the first one.
Trust me, bro. Where are you at, Sarah? Where are you going to vote? Are you going to say the UAP press conference? Trust me, bro. Actual evidence or something else?
Might have to lean with trust me, bro.
There we go. And our last person, the woman with an attitude who won't back down, that our audience loves, Tia Marie. Where do you vote on this one?
I think I'm gonna go with Laura. Yeah, and
Actual evidence.
Yeah. I'm.
Yeah. Perfect.
Comment from Miss
Yeah.
Leslie.
Yeah.
You know, she's pretty straightforward. So.
Yeah. Oh, and thank you for raising your voice last night. You got us into the big family discussion. You forgot about me.
Well, you
Talking
did.
about acoustic weapons.
And it wasn't intentional. That was not intentional. Just saying. We love you, Tia.
I love you guys.
Yeah. Okay, Wilma. You got Wilma Flintstone's hairdo going right now with the bun. Looks wonderful on you. All right, so there we go. Out of our audience, let me go ahead and do a screenshot on this for posterity's sakes. The UAP press conference, where are we hitting? Over 46% of our audience is saying, trust me, bro, is what we're going to get out of it. But hopefully, I would love to see actual evidence. I would love to see something else besides just more dialogue, to tell you the truth. Wouldn't you, Tia?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think they know that too, that we're getting increasingly like, come on, let's go. Enough is enough.
Right.
Shut up or put out, you know?
Yeah.
So let's hope.
Fingers crossed, my friend. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Ed Brown, your hand is up.
Yeah, Thomas, but I forgot what I was going to say, so pass me on this one.
How did you vote? Trust me, bro?
Yeah, I did trust me, bro.
All right, yeah.
Well, I know what I was going to say. You know, I mentioned last night people were dying off, and we need to get them before this generation passes. The key in that Virginia story was the guy that picked up the alien, carried it in the car to the hospital. The alien, and you read this, and the alien scratched him, and he got biological contamination and died.
Right.
Be nice to have his witness. Be nice to have the witness of the driver. Any of those people that had that. We're not going to get firsthand evidence, but at least we're going to get firsthand information of people that saw the evidence.
Yeah.
Which is what we've been talking about for years. The closest we have ever got is the guy that says, "I know," or I saw the movie or whatever, the film of it. But never have we got one that says, you know, I touched it and carried it like that Virginia guy.
Well,
did.
he died.
Yeah, I know. Yep. You don't mess with those aliens.
Yeah. And Daryl is here for Ferrari, his wonderful little schnauzer, miniature schnauzer, saying, I trust you, bro. Thank you very much, Daryl. We appreciate your love and support. It's always wonderful. Actually, I used to say it a long time. What was it? Live long and prosper?
Indeed.
Yes. That was a catchphrase to you a long time ago. Thanks for being around, Daryl. It's wonderful knowing you as someone who comes in the back panel and contributes to the show.
Always a good time, my friend. Always a good time. And I love everybody back here in the back.
And then some. Let's just say
Tia,
that.
you could be our acoustic weapon.
Who could be?
Tia.
Oh, God,
We
yeah.
gotta come up with a long-range acoustic weapon with the Tia range acoustic weapon or something.
All right. We had the boy who wanted to come in, and someone, I believe, did not let him in. Doughboy. Well, it's like a troll name. Tia?
I seen his show, James Fox's new movie, with the people that were at the hospital, the people that actually seen
Yeah.
the alien there. Maybe he's going to bring some of them up to testify as firsthand witnesses.
Yeah,
the
that would be
ones that
good.
were in the military, the corporal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
How about the partner of the police officer who ended up dying because he transported the alien?
Right. His family, other people, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
it does make a difference now that he's got them on. It really does. To me, anyway.
We got a new nickname for you from Shinobi One Kenobi. They're calling you the Tianator.
Well, thank you.
Cheers, my friends. Absolutely. All right. Wow. A lot of stuff going on. Let's go ahead and figure out where we're going to next. Vern Dude said, best advice, Tia. I shared with my wife, shut up or put out. That was a $5 one. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, I had to do some dishes, apparently. So we got that one taken care of. Let's get back to the studio again. Not that one. Let's get back to this Zoom solo, a little bit more zoomed in, and figure out where we're taking the show next. Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff. We gotta get to the Australia shit. Yeah, we covered that stuff last night. Yes, David Grush came out and basically pointed out the documents that we covered 3 years ago. That was a declassified counterintelligence report on the United States and our cover-up of the UFO situation. Let me fix this. There we go. Yeah, it's a big one. Let me go ahead and see if I can get the preview. Let me find my recent documents. Or is this open recent? Where in the fuck is my document? 1 through 58. Got it. Okay, I found it. All right, so on the title card today, we're talking about, this is the document, my friends, that David Grush has gone and pointed out and saying, this points to and discloses the cover-up that our federal government has been doing against the UFO, about UAP. Let's call it UFOs, because even Lou's calling UFOs now. Why? Because UAP is a term that was brought out to call this something else, so it just slides under the attention of the public out there. So let's get to this if we can. Let's find document solo. I think this is it. All right, here. Let's get to it, friends. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit more. All right, so this is coming from the Department of Defense Joint Intelligence Organization, coming from Dr. O.H. Turner from the nuclear branch, dated 27th of May, 1971, where he says the two documents attached are intended to focus on aspects of the UFO problem that have tended to remain hidden. The report dealing with the U.S. attitude has been compiled from official reports. Let me just fix this here. Make sure I've got that. There we go. Official reports and statements made by the U.S. Air Force. Why isn't this on? Hold on. Yellow. Okay. Congressional hearings. Why isn't this working? Come on. There we go. Here we go. Congressional hearings and Project Blue Book records. The second document deals with evidence for weapon systems used by UFOs. This evidence has been culled from computerized records conducted by Dr. Valet in corroboration with Dr. Hynek at Northwestern University, and represents a fraction of worldwide reports dealing with the same weapon systems. Australia has had its share of this kind of reporting. And as we showed last night on a news broadcast, Australia is refusing to go ahead and actually disclose anything, because they say there's nothing there. Yet their intelligence reports from 1971 go back and say, yes, there was something there. And sorry, Doughboy, if you haven't been around in a while, you jumped in the back, we didn't recognize you. If you want to jump in the back and say something else again, we'll let you in. Just don't be a troll. We'd appreciate it. Let's get into this a little bit further. Intelligence aspects include the assessment of real from false reporting, capabilities of propulsion methods and possible weapons used, motivation operations, harmful or not, defensive offenses, and scientific, etc. For both short-term and long-term, whether there are more effective ways to detect these operations or defend them, if necessary. So it sounds like there's something that's been going on with UFOs for the longest time, but our United States government has actually been aware of it, but they've been covering it up, and this is where we have had a U.S. ally at that time going and conducting counterintelligence on the United States to figure out what is the actual truth about UFOs. We went over the summary last night. Let's get into the official U.S. attitude to UFOs. So in June 1947, the Air Technical Intelligence Center, ATIC, near Dayton, Ohio, assumed the responsibility to investigate the initial reports of flying saucers. Within a month, it was considered the phenomena were real and probably of Soviet origin. By the end of the year, when ATIC was officially authorized to investigate under the project name of SIGN, and with a high priority, most of the investigators were focused on interplanetary rather than Soviet origin. These opinions were crystallized into a written estimate that was sent to the Pentagon in September of 1948, when the interplanetary conclusions were rejected on the grounds of insufficient hard evidence. A reaction set in at ATIC against trying to unravel the UFO problem. So there we have it. When the evidence came back, the people who got the answers didn't want those answers, and they wanted to push it, of course, to something else because they don't want to apparently believe in what was actually found by the scientific analysis and government. So in February of 1949, ATIC personnel on Project SIGN were replaced. Yeah, we replaced you because we didn't get the answers we wanted. Personnel formed Project Grudge. A definite attempt was made during 1949 to use Project Grudge to destroy any acceptance of UFOs. The motives for this are not clear. Possibly Air Force embarrassment at being incapable of controlling the situation, and or a fear of national panic prompted by USAF to try and remove the problem by denying existence. So what we're dealing with here is this classic situation of denial that comes out of the federal government. We're still dealing with it today. You know, we had some movement going with the initial UAP task force that happened some time ago, back in around 2020, and we had all the truth coming out around that time. But then since then, the intelligence community and the if you want to call the military industrial complex through the DOD has been working overtime to shove the genie back in the fucking bottle. Now, another possible motive may have been to provide a breathing space for another investigative agency to reach some conclusion. The agency had been insisting ATEC through 1948, contrary to official USAF policy, was maintaining a high level of interest during 1949. This governmental agency was not the FBI and had rocket, nuclear, and intelligence experts. Their purpose was to study UFO reports in an effort to gather developments. This agency was almost certainly CIA. Now, we've heard a lot coming from the CIA. They've had the OGA, which is the Office of Global Access, I believe, which has been part of the cover-up program. More importantly, they have been part of the search and recovery program to find these craft when they come down, collect them, and bring them back to the United States. Now, Project Grudge failed to eliminate the UFO problem. UFO reports in 1949 actually exceeded the number in 1948, and several people who gained access to early official reports were able to contradict the USAF. Journalists generally felt that Grudge reporting represented over a cover more to a serious knowledge. Eventually, USAF intelligence decided that a fresh approach to the problem was necessary. Between September of 1951 and the establishment of Project Blue Book in March of 1952, UFO investigative regained adequate financial administrative support to once again analyze the collected data. And of course, we know what they did. They said, there's nothing there. Don't worry about it. Which, you know, you can't trust the government. Project Blue Book was able to process data from 3,200 reports into a form suitable for their consultants to be able to use the IBM card sorting machines. In the summer of 1952, more than 20-fold rise in the normal reporting rate included 2 extensive July sightings involving Washington, D.C. This marked an increase in sightings that had a diverse effect. A component of the USAF intelligence considered that UFOs were interplanetary spaceships, which were about to make closer contact. To prepare the public for this possibility, 41 previously classified reports were released for publication between August of 1952 and February of 1953. Again, this is information that David Grush says is actual proof coming from an ally of the United States that performed counterintelligence to find and bring out the truth of the cover-up that's been going on since the 40s and 50s into the UFO phenomenon. Now, these reports contradicted early official USAF policy of dismissing the reports as misidentification, etc. On the other hand, the CIA regarded the summer UFO activity as a threat to national security, mainly because the resulting crowded communications and defense forces involvement lessened the level of national alertness against a possible enemy attack. So they're saying this is a matter for national security because we can't focus on the enemy. We're now focusing on this other thing that's going on. Let's just go ahead and say this shit ain't real is the approach they took. Number 5, a scientific panel chaired by H.P. Robertson was convened by the Office of Scientific Intelligence of the CIA in mid-January 1953 for the purpose of recommending further action on the UFO problems. Briefings were made by the CIA and the USAF. ATIC personnel showed the then classified 2 movie films of UFOs and early results of statistical analysis of 3,200 results. Because these vital issues involved, the panel felt restricted to recommending that the investigation be continued. But with increasing personnel and equipment, the USAF responded promptly with instructions to comply with these recommendations. Again, we now have the federal government being called out by, again, one of our allies with what's going on. And actually, let me fix this so people can see the rest of that. There we go. To go ahead and say what the United States has been doing, it's a cover-up, and here is the additional information and the actual things that are truly going on. Let's move forward a little bit. Number 6, the CIA, however, in a report detailed on 16th of February 1953, showed a preference to publicly abandon the investigation while intensifying the collection of data behind the scenes. By September of 1953, the CIA position had been largely achieved, with Project Blue Book reduced from a staff of 10 qualified personnel operating a top security level to virtually inactive project involving 1 airman. Again, shut it down. It's bringing out the truth we don't want the public to know about. So the investigation component had been transferred to the 4602 Air Intelligence Service Squadron, which was trained in rapid intelligence procurement and reported to Air Defense Command and USAF Intelligence, Washington, rather than Blue Book. Manuel, you have your hand up, my friend. Go ahead.
Sorry to bother you. I'm going to step away for a little bit. I'm going to have my dinner, so I'll catch up in a little bit.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No problem.
So direct access between the 4602 and AISS and all USAF units was authorized by AFR 200-2, whereas previously this privilege had been given to Blue Book. Although the Airman First Class remained in September of 1943, Blue Book was later built up on 1 officer, 1 sergeant, 1 secretary, and a part-time consultant. Now, Dr. Alan J. Hynek stating about this level unit, it was closed down in December of 1969. During this time, Blue Book served mainly as a means of supplying classified summaries of UFO identifications to the public and did not form a vital link to collection of serious analysis. Again, this information is being called out as fact by David Grush, saying this counterintelligence against the United States basically shows out and says what actually happened at that time. So I guess we could take this as an analysis, more of an analysis in truth, for that matter. Number 7, The control of public awareness in the UFO situation was tightened by issuing JANAP 146 in 1953, which prohibited service personnel from discussing UFOs by threatening defaulters with up to 10 years in the GAOL and up to a $10,000 fine. So if they talk about any of the UFO information that they have, they will be court-martialed, thrown into jail for up to 10 years, and fined $10,000. Does that sound like they're trying to cover up something that's false? No. They're trying to cover up the truth, my friends. When service personnel resigned or retired, however, it was possible to reveal USAF attitude, opinions, even if actual data was still restricted. In this way, many intelligence officers associated with the UFO problem, including Major D. Fournette, who was Blue Book project officer at the Pentagon until late 1952, Captain E. Rappelt, who headed Project Grudge and the Project Blue Book until September 1953, and Admiral Hillenkoelter, who directed the CIA in its inception until October of 1950, on retiring from his services, all publicly stated that the U.S. government knew UFOs were extraterrestrial, but was withholding this fact from the public. Sharky Markey, your hand is up. Go ahead. Three, two,
You're muted, Sharky.
1. You're muted.
My bad. Hey, what's going on? Sorry about that. No, I was just thinking about this story, and I mean, doesn't this? Let's just say the government didn't have an agreement with the aliens and alien intelligence of some sort or alien races. Right. What would they have to hide by releasing this information? Doesn't this point to the fact that like all the rumors are true about that, perhaps?
Well, they're afraid.
What do they have to hide? What are they trying to hide? You know what I mean? Like if there's other alien races, what's so?
Because it shows that the United States government
about not releasing the information.
Because it shows that any world government is not in control of their destiny. It shows that what we are dealing with is a non-human intelligence that's far advanced from what we're dealing with, and they're afraid it's going to affect the markets, it's going to affect religions, it's going to affect our culture in general. So it's their take on it that they want to keep the truth out from coming to the public, no matter the cost.
Right, but doesn't it point to the fact that there's a there kind of thing?
What do you think this document shows? There's a there. This is what David Grush is going and pointing out and saying.
Well, isn't this kind of disclosure? It's not the disclosure that we want and what we're looking for, but like we've had this for so long.
Well, we covered this 3 years ago when these documents first come out, and this is the first time that we've actually heard someone who's aware of the program, what's going on, pointing back, saying the disinformation machine, this is a direct accounting, and what we're dealing with is not just supposition, but it's actually fact.
Right. The only point I'm trying to make to you is, to me, with this information being released, like, isn't this an indication of the rumors being true? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does the government have to hide if the aliens are there and they exist and we have evidence of them? What do they have to hide? There's something else there.
It's
there.
It's an active denial campaign that we're dealing with. Let's see how our recliner in chief, Ed Brown, has to say about this. Ed, go. What say you?
Well, I'm still of the mindset, as I've told you many times before, that they're not going to reveal themselves any more than they want to. But I think what's holding up this whole thing right now is the fact that we just can't get any closer than that. No one seems to be breaking through.
Right. Do you think that this document that David Grush has pointed to, saying this is actual fact, that's coming from a counterintelligence document coming from Australia, reporting on the United States, that this is a fact with regards to what happened? Is that believable to you?
Well, it is, but it's also because I want it to be believable, because it kind of supports our research in this area. But look at all the controversy over the Wilson memo. That was their cut too, and yet there's still people, including Wilson himself, who denies that he had anything to do with it. Or not Wilson, but Eric Davis.
Yeah. I believe you, my friend. It's one of the, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of cracks in the egg, per se, of what's out there. But this one, this is truly what we're saying is the truth, we'll see where it goes. Sharky, have you said everything you needed to say?
Yeah, no, I can't believe this report was was it 1970, you said?
1971. This is a 1971 report that goes over a whole bunch of things going all the way back to the 1940s in the United States, but it's a counterintelligence report coming to us from Australia.
It's just unbelievable how they've just totally gaslit the population and kept this from the public, and that it's just getting released now in more mainstream level of some sort, of more publicly available to people. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. It's just, I don't understand why other governments don't make a bigger stink of this, a bigger story of this.
Right.
And that it took this long to kind of trickle out. Obviously, I'm sure this was always available in some way, but to be more regularly, I mean, I can only cross-reference so many stories in my life as time goes on day to day. But anyway, it's just crazy. It's unbelievable.
Best evidence.
All right, so let me go ahead and replay. I've got an audio clip of David Grush going ahead and talking about these documents that we played last night on the show. Let me go ahead and bring that down, and where's this opening this? Open with QuickTime Player. There we go. It's opening with Apple TV. That's why I was fucking up. Let's go ahead and play this audio clip. Let me go ahead and get where I was a second ago. Let's get this audio clip, and let's play David Grush talking on the Megyn Kelly podcast about this situation. Here we go, folks.
What do you think?
The audience is saying there's no audio on this. Hold on. Let me figure out what's going on. Sorry, audience. Hold on. Something is fucked up in the audio in the back. I'm sorry you guys didn't hear that. Desktop audio pushed back up again. Let's play it again. I'm sorry, audience. I fucked up from last night.
What do you think is the best evidence for the people sitting at home to understand this is real and it has been kept secret by the government, and it is in large part due to an active disinformation campaign?
There was a former classified Australian government analysis that is currently in the Australian National Archives. Really, the public doesn't really know about it. This was a 1971 analysis by senior physicist Harry Turner, who was in charge of nuclear procurement for the Australian governments in the 60s and 70s. He was a top secret cleared senior physicist for the government. And through his sourcing, and this is a formally classified assessment of an allied government, Harry Turner discusses in the first couple pages of that assessment, if people download it and go to page 7 or 8 through 20, they'll see what I'm talking about, where Turner talks about how the CIA and other organizations secretly knew this was a real issue, started that disinformation campaign, started secretly working on reversing aspects of the technology. But the U.S. government was deadly serious on the topic at the time. And it's quite the eyebrow raiser.
So there we go. There is David Grush going ahead and talking about this document, talking about the fact that it's true, talking about that we're basically dealing with a counterintelligence operation against the U.S. that actually came in to bring out the truth on this. So it's just, if you want to call it, find this one, not that one. Let me go to document solo. It's an interesting document to say the least. So let's get a little bit further on this. David Grush, again, vetting that this document brings out the truth. And sorry about the audio issues. I played with stuff last night that I shouldn't have played with, but apparently it's still working. So let's get into it. When the National Investigation Committee on the Aerial Phenomenon, NICAP, was formed in 1956 to counter the publicly suppressed USAF investigation UFOs, the first chairman was Admiral D.S. Farney, who had directed the Navy's guided missile program from its inception. Apart from Admiral Hillenkoelter, Major Kehoe, and Major Fournette, other directors have included Rear Admiral Knowles and a bunch of other names. Let's get to it. To reduce the effect of these similar defections from official USAF official policy after retirement, the revised JNAP 146E passed in 1960 made an offense under the Espionage Act if data on UFOs were actually revealed. So that just says it right there. If the United States is going ahead and putting the facts about, if anyone reveals anything about UFOs, they're going to get tried under the Espionage Act. That's just fucked up. But it shows you, they're saying there's nothing here, there's nothing here. We can't, there's nothing to talk about. Yet if they talk about it after they've retired, again, they will be tried under the Espionage Act. What does that say to you, Ed? Or anybody in the back? No. All right. Let's move on.
Well, it's par for the course. I mean, this has been going on for the longest time. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it doesn't seem like it's ever going to stop or it's ever going to end.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe Trump will, and the Trump administration, although I've kind of lost faith in that. But
we'll see where it goes. Apparently, according to Elizondo, things are moving behind the scenes while there's a lot of other distractions that are going on in Iran and Venezuela, in the United States, like Minneapolis, Washington State, Ohio, New York, etc. They'll figure that all out in due time. But with regards to this, there's been a cover-up, and it's unacceptable, as Sherman Osborne says.
Yeah, and I think the cover-up is not just the technology that they've tried to, reverse engineer. It's the relationship.
It's the intelligence that's there. As Lou Elizondo has said, they are at the top of the food chain.
It's the relationship with the aliens. That's what I believe.
They're at the top of the food chain. So no matter what our relationship is, Sharky, right? Can you take it as a consideration that no matter how we look at this, we're not at the top of the food chain, which really means we're on the menu, one way or the other, whether it's physically or consciously, etc. Kyle, go ahead.
I think they're doing the same thing with 3i Atlas too. 3i Atlas.
Yeah, comment. Yes.
It's still doing a lot of strange things out there.
Right. It's a strange interstellar object, but is it coming to our planet? Is it going to other planets? Are there things going on with it? Not quite. Now, the most interesting thing about 3i Atlas, I have to bring up, Sharky, is that the CIA denied bringing out the images that they have of this because it exposes sources and methods. Ooh, we just had someone very interesting pop up. Tom Whitmore. How you doing, Tom? You've brought out some interesting things on X lately that I have been amazed by. I need to say that.
Oh, he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm trying to mute my phone. Hi.
Hey,
Hi, how are you
Tom.
doing?
Not bad. How are you?
Good. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Tom.
Yeah. Was there something in particular you were referring to, Tom?
You had gone and shared with me your latest posts that are out there on WordPress that you've been putting out. You put out weekly updates and different things that are going on. This is a good aside for what's happening. Was this the one that you sent me? Yeah, this is you've got another update since the last update that I've seen. Let's bring this up here for the audience, for them to enjoy it. I'll read it, and we'll be able to get some feedback from you on this, Tom, real time. It's wonderful that I'm really glad that you joined today, honestly, because this is something that I've wanted to cover, and I wanted to invite you on the show to talk about it. So this is your update from January 8th, just 2 days ago, 2026. Some thoughts on rational evidence based on logical UFO research. We as UFO researchers need to apply rationality and commitment to objective analysis rather than purely speculative theories. The UFO subject possesses anomalous characteristics that do not necessarily align with standard scientific methods, and they'll push back because of that word called scientism, where the, if you want to call it, the science is revered as a religion that cannot be challenged, versus science, when you find new information, you take it and you gather it and you adjust to it. So insisting that UFO investigations meet rigorous scientific protocols is unreasonable. Assuming this is true, a significant portion of critical data is under the jurisdiction of the United States government, creating a barrier that prevents civilian researchers from gaining access to primary evidence. Regardless, we should strive to obtain supporting documentation and corroborating information to the extent possible. The valet, as in Jacques Vallée projection analogy continued. Taking the movie projection analogy, working back from the projection itself, we have the projector. We know how the projector works. The film is inserted into the projector. The theater that receives the film and the canister and the associated business entity and staff required to run the movie. The distribution process by the film studio. The process of making the film, including purchasing in the rights, script development, hiring the director, hiring the film crews, hiring the actors, scheduling the shoots, completing the shooting, editing the film, approval by the suits, marketing and advertisement of the completed film. This, of course, doesn't include everything. If we apply this analogy to the UFO problem as a projection, we can begin to contemplate its complexity. The current side reading is betrayal of the story of Ames. But Tom, you want to talk on this a bit?
Yeah, about the projection theory, the projection analogy that Vallée came up with. I think that corresponds pretty closely with John Alexander's statement that the UFO problem is really very complex and it's multi-layered. And now, I'm not saying Vallée is right. I don't know. But if you take that analogy, there could be many, many layers of production behind the projection that we're seeing. That was my point.
Right. So basically what you're saying is that the projection we're seeing is based on the government going ahead and actually getting this information out there and controlling the narrative, controlling what people are seeing. Although behind the scenes, we know how everything works from the projector back to the place where they make this stuff.
Yeah, and that, we know that as an analogy, but we have no idea if UFOs are some kind of a projection from some unknown entities. We have no idea what's behind it. But there could be a lot behind it that really is above our ability to comprehend.
Do you think that, or where do you sit on the thought that the United States has recovered some of these things and they're trying to figure it out?
Oh, I believe that. I was convinced of that when I read all of Stringfield's status reports way back in the early 90s. And I'm a believer. But I do think that we maybe need to keep in mind that some of those stories could have been planted and that it's a deception,
right,
to create the impression that there have been recovered UFOs, because we've never been able to see a recovered UFO when it's never been brought out.
So what you're talking about is disinformation. To go ahead, if there are some credible reports out there of the things that are happening, it's to flood it with disinformation, but people who are disinformationists who are out there to spread this information. I think that really aligns to what we're seeing a lot today in social media.
Oh, well, the world today is completely different than it was back in the 80s when this whole disinformation problem, became apparent to the UFO community. Back in those days, Bill Moore and other people were receiving mysterious documents, and they were being recruited by, intelligence types. And Moore himself said that he knew of at least 3 or 4 other people that had been informing, for the government. But now, with social media, I mean, you can have a handle. Now, I use my own name. I don't try to hide anything.
We're one of the few out there that do that, Tom.
Yeah, but there are gobs of people that, they have some handle. You don't know who it is. And they could be spreading all kinds. I think the UFO community doesn't need much help in being very contentious with each other. But if the authorities think that it's in their interest for the UFO community to be an unhappy place, they're doing a very good job of that. And it's easy as pie to do with all of these people that, are nasty, and you don't even know who it really is.
Yeah. And if they do find out who they really are, they really get upset when their true identity comes out, it seems.
Yeah.
Well, why? They should be able to stand behind the words that they take and words that they say, not just behind a facade of a name that allows them to be a keyboard warrior from their mom's basement, being in their mid-30s.
Yeah, well, it's almost like a badge of honor if you've been doxxed, and then you can play the victim. And there are a lot of people out there that I've known, because I listen to Spaces. I don't really participate very much, but unless they're, talking about my area like MJ12 or something. But,
yeah. Now, have you found that the documents on MJ12, there's been more evidence coming out backing up that? I've seen some things lately that seemed really relatively interesting, pointing towards this 12-person panel that was put together that initially was called in code by MJ12.
Well, there may have been an MJ12. The question is, if there was an MJ12 group, did it have anything to do with UFOs or not? And it's possible that MJ12 didn't have anything to do with UFOs.
Right.
But John Alexander, somebody pretty high up told John Alexander that MJ12 was continuity of government. But if you look at the MJ12 list on the Eisenhower briefing document, those wouldn't be the people that I would have on a continuity of government committee.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the covert UFO program could be nestled under continuity of government, because continuity of government is the really important stuff is extremely secret.
Yeah. Would you be surprised if at the time that John Alexander went to D.C. and he actually briefed President Obama at that time about what was going on in these programs? Because back in the conversations we had in his house with my late agent, Barry Friedman, that was disclosed to us directly from John Alexander of that's what he was still doing. Even though he's quote unquote retired, he's still being called into D.C. to brief people on the situation.
Well, if it's true, it's true. I mean, it's certainly not beyond the realm of possibility. If President Trump or President anybody asks you to come to the White House and give your opinion on what's going on in the UFO business, wouldn't you do it?
Well, of course. Who wouldn't?
But he's had a military and intelligence background, and he's been active in the UFO field for many years. He's published a book, and he's given many lectures.
Didn't he had one of the original
conventions.
organizations that were running out of Vegas where it was included, like John Glenn and others who would come forward to go ahead and have this working group?
Well, I hadn't heard of that, but he did have a group, during the 80s, and he was trying to get to the bottom of what the government knew about UFOs.
Right.
And became such a subject of that book about called Out There.
Yeah.
Which is not a very good book, but people in the 80s were really trying to get to the bottom of things. Bill Moore was, with Jamie Chandray and Stanton Friedman, and other people were trying to do the same thing. But whether it's the government's deception program is to cover for classified conventional technology, or whether they're covering for UFOs, or they're covering for disinformation schemes against the Soviets. I mean, it's very hard for us to tell, but I do put some effort into studying intelligence and counterintelligence and espionage and counter-espionage and psychological warfare and all those things, so that I can have a better background to put all of this into context.
Yeah. Now, we have a statement from David Grush pointing out this counterintelligence operation that went against the United States that was declassified from Australia in I believe, the mid-'80s. Do you think this stuff has weight to what they were looking into and what they were bringing out? There's some truth behind it, as David Grush implies?
Well, I'm not... I apologize because I'm not familiar with that. If you want to fill me in, maybe I can make a comment.
Well, David Grush just went in a recent interview. Let me go ahead and play this audio clip for you again so you can go ahead and hear it. Let's play this so you can react to it. This is an interview with David Grush with Megyn Kelly on her podcast on Sirius XM, talking specifically about evidence that's out there that demonstrates the UFO cover-up. Let's play this. Here we go.
What do you think is the best evidence for the people sitting at home to understand this is real, and it has been kept secret by the government, and it is in large part due to an active disinformation campaign?
There was a former classified Australian government analysis that is currently in the Australian National Archives. Really, the public doesn't really know about it. This was a 1971 analysis by senior physicist Harry Turner, who was in charge of nuclear procurement for the Australian governments in the 60s and 70s. He was a top secret cleared senior physicist for the government. And through his sourcing, and this is a formally classified assessment of an allied government, Harry Turner discusses in the first couple pages of that assessment, if people download it and go to page 7 or 8 through 20, they'll see what I'm talking about, where Turner talks about how the CIA and other organizations secretly knew this was a real issue, started that disinformation campaign, started secretly working on reversing aspects of the technology. But the U.S. government was deadly serious on the topic at the time. And it's quite the eyebrow raiser.
So there you go. That was a statement from David Grush pointing back to these papers and saying it's the truth. And it's probably one of the best documents out there to show that.
Is that document available, or is it still?
Oh, yeah, it's fully available. Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to see it. Well, thank you for the tip. I'll follow up on that.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you a link to it. We've been actually going ahead and covering in today's show, just because they're saying basically from pages 7 or 8, the cover letter is on page 6 through like page 7 through 20 actually deals with the cover up and what's been happening. And this is something that we've been covering on the show tonight.
Yeah, I just was able to log in, so I'm sorry.
No problems, my friend. We appreciate you stopping in. You're an asset to the community. You've been researching this for many years on your own accord, and we love it when you stop in and provide your insight.
On that first ditty that I wrote in the weekly update, I get kind of aggravated with people saying that the UFO civilian investigators are unscientific, because to do science, you have to have something you can measure, and you have to be able to have some control over the conditions that you measure it and study it. And we just don't have that in the UFO field. And there are a lot of earnest people that have worked hard to try to gather information and analyze information. And I just get a little bit aggravated with people criticizing us for being unscientific.
Well, you can only deal with the information that you have out there, and if you try to get into it, but some of your research goes beyond science. It's about documenting the cover-up that's been happening from the federal government, which I hate to say isn't relatively science. It's trying to uncover the truth.
Yep, for sure.
We have a couple people in the back with their hands up, Kyle and then Sharky. Kyle, go ahead. Do you have a question for Tom?
I was going to address Sharky's comment earlier about the communication.
Just take it. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We got you.
Okay. I was going to say I agree with Sharky on the communication issue, and I agree with everything that Tom says. That's all.
Awesome, Sharky. Your hand is up next. Go ahead.
Yeah. So. This is just what I'm thinking right now. I can't help but just to say that there's a relationship between the government and the aliens, and there always has been. And it's so diabolical that if the public knew and found out all the details of what they've allowed the aliens to do to our people here on Earth, then I think that things would.
But the thing is, if we can't stop them and their technology, and they can deal with time, they can stop time and everything else. If that's what's really going on, it's more of a complacency versus something we could actually stop and intervene in, correct?
Yeah, I just think it's national security of why. I think what I'm so more interested in is the relationship, how deep it goes. It goes pretty deep.
But how much does a farmer collude with the pigs? Not much. They feed them. They give them what they need. The pigs get used to getting fed on a regular time, and eventually they get loaded in the truck and hauled away. Right?
Yeah, the relationship that the governments of the world, particularly the United States, has with the aliens is so diabolical that that's what they're really trying to hide.
But it's not just the United States. China knows about it. Russia knows about it. All of our partners in Australia know about it. So it's not like it's just the United States. There's a worldwide embargo on bringing out the truth.
Governments have documented relationships with them. Do you think it's possible? Do you think they do? I don't know for sure if that's the case.
Well, from everything we've heard, the documents we've heard so far, Australia is well aware what the United States has been up to, and I'm sure Russia and China know what's going on. Heck, China right now has their own space station up there.
Well, I'm sure they're very well aware that the United States has some sort of relationship with them.
And I'm sure China does as well.
Other governments do.
Yeah. I'm sure China does as well. We're not the only touch point, I hate to say it, for the non-human intelligence in the world. I'm sure there's more than one non-human intelligence faction that's here, and I'm sure there's multiple supports for different world governments, and it just depends down to us getting the truth out there over time.
Well, all I'm trying to say is, for me, disclosure to me is like, what are the races of aliens? Is it the truth, the rumors that we've heard about them? How deep does the relationship go? How diabolical is it? And also, like, where are they from? Where do they come from?
Who cares where they come from? What we need to know, Sharky, is what are they doing here now? What are they doing here? I don't care about their craft. I don't care where they come from. What we need to know is what the hell are they doing here? And more importantly, why are they doing it? They could come from another dimension. They could come from another solar system. They could come from another galaxy, or who knows where it's coming from. But the answer is, what are they doing here, and why are they doing it? Those are the two answers. I don't care about the craft.
We should be moving the discussion of disclosure because we've already had disclosure. That's my argument. That's been my argument for quite some time.
Well, we've had government disclosure, but have we had actual physical proof of disclosure of things that are going on, of the craft, of the things that are in our skies, what they're doing with humans?
Can I join in here real quick?
Please.
Because I agree with both of you. Right. And Sharky, I agree with you. Disclosure has happened, but it's happened for certain groups of individuals throughout the planet. And then, Tom, you're right. You're absolutely right. There's a threat aspect. Who gives a shit of where it's coming from? And for your argument to the point of Sharky, we need to move to the next step to answer all the questions that all three of us are asking right now and the rest of the fucking planet. Right. And that's the problem, is because we're getting looked at from the aspect of the world's governments and the population of, okay, they don't need this information. We've got the information. They don't need it. But we're in 2026. We need the information. Our kids need the information. We need to know how to deal with it. When the first human found the bear,
what they're trying to hide is the relationship and how long it's been going on with the aliens. That's what the full disclosure is going to be. Where they come from, I'm not saying Tom's not right. Tom is right too. I totally agree. I'm on the same page.
Sharky, you know why I want to take it down to just what are they doing here? Why are they here? We leave all the where they came from, what kind of craft they have, what capabilities of the craft. It's all the military shit that they're all worried about. Let's take all that stuff and say, okay, we don't need to know about that. Let's just find out why, what are they doing here and why are they here, and leave it at that. That should be something we should be able to bring out to the public, but because it threatens our current societal beliefs and norms, our religions and everything else, we can't even get to that point.
I think we just need to think about it as if it's really bad. If what they're hiding continues, if what they're trying to hide continues,
if it was something good, they'd bring it out right away, right?
Well, I think it's the worst that we could think of. That's what I personally think.
It's
I think
nothing
everyone
good.
kind of thinks that.
It's nothing good.
No, it's not. It's not. And I know I'm talking in a general sense. It's national security, but I think ultimately that's what we have yet to find in disclosure. The relationship, truly, all the details, not just rumors, documentation. It to come out. I don't think it's ever going to come out, but it'd be nice if more information did roll out and there was more documentation on that. You know, I haven't seen that. I've only heard rumors. I haven't heard a lot of evidence and documentation about the relationship, so to speak, but I'd like to know a lot more things about it.
Before we even cover that topic, we got to figure out how many species we're dealing with, right? And how many species are even willing to deal with us before we determine what relationship is going on with what country, right? We got to figure out how many of them are there. Which ones are talking to us and who are they talking to?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally.
Yeah. Really quick, just putting this out there. Lou Elizondo's new book. Yes, it may have been another accidental link one more times, friends, because would you look at that? It's called Untitled, the new novel by an unknown author. It's going to go on sale August 27th, 2026. Pre-orders available on May 29th, 2026. So yes, it seems that Lou Elizondo got an additional, if you want to call it, unintentional leak of the book he was going to bring out. This happened the last time he was trying to bring out the truth. Kyle Reinhardt, your hand is up.
I want to say, again, I strongly agree with Sharky, and I wanted to add a couple things. You covered the radio telescope that was in Russia that was destroyed by Ukraine. There was and I thought this was complete bullshit the first time I heard it, but there was supposedly a quantum tunneling antenna in that telescope. And there were all of these leaks from different scientists. You didn't know where what came from. So none of that's empirical data. But Simon Holland, who sounded nuts a year and a half ago, is really making sense now. he covered that and then revealed that his sources for the info were scientists that worked at that radio telescope, and something was picked up during the breakthrough listen with James Webb. He talked about a different source that I guess was within the Russian government, and they were communicating with them. There's a patent out there for a quantum tunneling antenna by a German scientist that was referenced. There's just so many pieces. There's so many things going on that nothing on its own sounds, credible. But a lot of pieces are coming together. Something's happening. I believe they're communicating with something, and I think possibly something's on the way here.
Yeah, it could be. They're talking about the 2027 to 2034 kind of a time frame of things that could be heading our way to the planet. I guess time will tell on that, eh?
We'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, getting back to this document for a little bit more. The change of style in USAF reporting before and after the Robertson panel meeting is clearly indicated in Project Blue Book, special report number 14. The body of the report, prepared between March 1952 and early 1953, although biased in favor of a natural explanation for UFOs, nevertheless shows mathematically that the evidence favored an explanation that was scientifically unknown. This section of the 316 report was not released to the public other than a copy to be consulted. Assuming that the reader knew of its existence, public distribution was made, however, of a so-called summary, which in fact did not summarize nor scarcely allude to the 1947 to 1952 data, but concentrated on 1950 through 1953 to 1955 reporting, which was clearly designed to reduce the residual unknowns to an insignificant number, no matter how many senseless identifications became. Now, number 10 on this one, within the body of the difficult to obtain report that Australian counterintelligence was able to report, is an interesting diagram. The product of an estimated observer reliability on the report reliability became the sighting reliability. The percentage of reports that had been registered as unknown, i.e. incapable of being ever approximately identified as a known object, increased as the sighting reliability improved. Conversely, the percentage listed as insufficient information decreased with improving of reliability. Throughout the years of the UFO phenomenon, there has been a persistent form of official pronouncements which state that the percentage of unknowns would be reproduced if more data were available. The above table contradicts the statement. Reports of excellent reliability stem from astronomers, pilots, scientists, surveyors, meteorologists, radar operators, etc., to compete with the instrumented values and accurately detailed accounts. Remember, though, if they bring any of the facts out that they're going to observe, they're going to get hit under the Espionage Act, my friends. The introduction of good, reliable reporting, and that included pilots. So we wonder why pilots stopped saying anything. Because they were threatened with the Espionage Act. The introduction of good, reliable reporting effects, the ready, prosaic interpretation, in all probability, the overall average percentage of unknowns, which is 19.7, would have been substantially increased if the data had been more reliable. Now, what they're saying now is less than 5%, in some cases less than 1%, they're claiming, of the information is actually reliable. Now, Project Blue Book consultants statistically tested unknown object population, determined the likelihood that it was similar to the population of identified objects found, that the probability was less than 10 to the 28th power. Wow. I.e. using American system, the odds were 10,000 trillion to 1 against the unknowns being the same as the known. since the consultants had arbitrarily called all green fireballs in short duration, less than 5 seconds, nighttime sightings as known astronomical objects, there was an undue preponderance in that category. Hence, assuming that no astronomical objects were left in the unknown. The statistical tests were repeated with astronomical identifications removed. The odds were reduced to 10 trillion to 1. The analysts could not find a way to reduce these odds sufficiently to further warrant additional testing and irrationally consider the results to be inconclusive. So what we're looking here, folks, is just the United States government finding ways to go ahead and literally shut down the truth about what's going on. We had counterintelligence from Australia digging into what the United States was doing, and it shows that it was none less than just nefarious work to try and keep the truth from coming out. So it's a shame that David Grush has to point to these documents saying this is fact, and with regards to the cover-up that was going on from the United States government, I think it gives us a great idea on documents, because I'm sure David Grush has read all of these and said yes. He wouldn't just put that statement out there without saying anything. What are your thoughts, Andy? Sorry, I saw your picture.
Sorry, I was elsewhere, mate.
Not a problem. Well, it just comes down to it, Andy. We're looking at the facts that were brought out there by the Australians for a period of time. They tried, David Grush is pointing to these saying this is a fact as far as the U.S. government cover-up goes. Are you along with Grush, or do you not believe what he pointed us towards as being fact?
Yeah, I think I am along with him, but, it makes me wonder, if this document's been out there and, in the Australian archives, how many actual documents are really actually out in the open? I think there's a lot more than we realize. It's just that people aren't finding them. And, there's so many documents out there. And people are I think when you go to an archive, you have to say what sort of documents you want. If you don't find that right document, it could be sat in the box next to the one that you're asking for.
Right.
So,
well, this is one document of 51 pages that Grush pointed out, page 6, going through page 20, as being a recounting of the truth. Let me just leave you off screen for a second if you want to talk about this. If anyone in the back wants to join Andy, I'd appreciate it. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Well, you talk about the archive. Let's just look at the Vatican.
Well, how many or how few people are able to actually get into the Vatican archives, But I'm talking about genuine archives that, any one of us could go and actually look at. I think there's probably a lot more documents out there that we realize than we realize. Just again, like I said, people aren't finding them because there's so much information to go through. Somebody can only sit and read documents for so much time of the day. If this was all digitized and all out for AI for people to put AI into searching for things, then obviously it would be a lot quicker. But I've done family history research and just trying to dig for people who lived 200 or 300 years ago from my own family in my local areas is difficult. I think if you're actually trying to, you need to go in with a specific idea of what you were looking for to tell whoever's running the archive. They could pick up a box, and what you want might not be in the box you get. It may be in the box right next door.
I mean, you need reference points, definitely.
Yeah.
And you need to know what you're looking at and looking for. And I think it's well said what you're saying. But the unfortunate thing, there's only so much knowledge sometimes someone can really, take in, and a lot of it gets lost. It gets lost in the shuffle, so to speak. That's why they have the archives.
Well, I hate to cut in,
but
but
a lot of the time it just gets forgotten. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I hate to cut in, but Laura, didn't we run across something?
Are you referring to the documents you were sharing late last night, Kyle? I didn't get a chance to examine them today.
Did you see anything that points to the direction we've gone so far?
Yeah, I see some similarities there.
Yeah.
This was a set of Soviet documents that Gene shared in his library that I'd never read anything like it in my life. It was a highly funded study by the Soviet government in 1983, and at one point they even increased resources for it and brought in more scientists. But a lot of it covered geology and events, the magnetic pole shifts throughout time, and everything that it strongly supports what you've brought up, Thomas, very much so. And it even went into not in support, but like the Atlanteans, all this stuff, and all the information that was in that report. Most of it came from the SS from Germany, and a lot of their research and work. And it talked about what other nations are doing to prepare for this upcoming disaster that we're in the timeline. We're in the current timeline, like any day now timeline, and according to their research. But it is just maddeningly interesting. Perhaps maybe one of the most interesting things I've ever read in my life. That's all.
Yeah, we'll have to cover that, Kyle. Absolutely.
Kyle, can you give me like one key thing, like specifically that really like blew your mind on that? If you don't mind, you remember anything in particular?
The depth of detail that the Germans did, especially when tracing ancient history. Their attempts to recover hidden documents. A lot of those hidden documents led to the Anunnaki, if you want to call it that. Definitely phenomena, and also Nibiru, an exact orbit, timeline. All kinds of stuff. Now I'm in the middle of taking that data and cross-referencing it against scientific papers to see if any of it can be sourced to that, and it's something that's like mainstream. I have zero doubt as to the authenticity of the report.
Yeah,
from the Soviet government. I mean, it looks incredible, and. If it's out there in mainstream science, I'll think one thing. If it's not, boy, the Germans were really interesting.
Well, they were into the right thing. They were trying to find the quote unquote ancient technology or advanced technology that was hidden all over our planet that they could take and put towards their machine. They were onto something. Hate to say it.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. Talking about being onto something. I know we had a passionate conversation at the end of last night's show, and we're about there and where we're at right now. I like to get the back's impression on this from the left and the right and the center. Where I'm at on this one, I just saw this one, and it's like, oh, this is really interesting. Let's see where it takes our audience and takes the people in the back. All right, let's get to this. All right, document solo. Here we go. So supposedly, the GoFundMe page for activist Renee Good has been paused. It comes after the new viral video of her committing crimes against ICE officers, while $1.5 million was raised for her widow and family. It seems because of the crimes that were potentially committed, GoFundMe is paused and may potentially refund everybody's donations. Anyone's thoughts from the back, pro or negative? Daryl, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to take the dog for a walk. But I want to come back to this conversation. I'll be back.
All right. Jay, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we go with what we know is that it's going to be an active investigation anyway. And let's cancel this out. Let's say you're given an insurance document for someone's death or whatever. They still have to investigate that death before they issue that insurance document. So it's the same thing here. They're going to pause any donations to her or anything going her way because they need to investigate the actual person themselves before this money can be distributed legally. Am I correct?
Yeah, it sounds that way. Matt, your hand is up. Go ahead.
We have to first find out if GoFundMe has a policy that they have to hold up.
They do.
Stating that. And what's it say if it's a criminal act that they won't? So say if it was like a shooter of someone, and they put someone put a GoFundMe up, they wouldn't be able to basically give that shooter that money, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So if that's the case, then they're just doing what the guidelines of their policy is, and it really doesn't have any bearing on what had happened there as far as what the court standing is. So, I mean, I think it's more so them just following their policies.
Yeah, which means there's more to this story than people realize.
I totally agree with you, Matt, on that one. And it's all about covering your butt. And if this, I'm not saying, she did bad, she did good, whatever. I'm in the middle right now. I want to see all the evidence. But if when this investigation is over and when the evidence is presented and we see it all, then we'll know. And we'll know whether or not it was done in the right fashion or in the wrong fashion. But I think, they have to cover their butt. They have to, this lady is now in a court proceeding, even though it's going to be a court proceeding about her demise. She's still there. This money's still going to her family. It still needs to be investigated.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm 100% for you.
Matt, go ahead.
And the guidelines too. You follow guidelines of the website and funding mechanisms.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt.
Let's just hope they get it done before tax season, because that'll be weird to write that off and then have to turn around and figure that one out.
Yeah. Talk about tax season, talk about finances, talk about the monthly credit card bill we get. More importantly, we've got that credit card interest that's coming out there. We've got another tweet that's coming out from our president in chief saying, please be informed that we will no longer let the American people be ripped off by credit card companies. Do the same for people who have student loans, please, that are charging interest rates of 20, 30%, and even more, which festered unimpeded during the sleepy Joe Biden administration. Affordability. Effective January 20th, 2026, in 10 days, folks. I, as President of the United States, I am calling for a one-year cap on credit card interest rates of 10%. Coincidentally, the January 20th date will coincide with the one-year anniversary of the historic and very successful Trump administration. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Do you think this will make a difference to Americans' pockets, Matt?
Hell yes.
Jay?
Hell yes, it'll make a difference, because he's showing people that he's going to stick up for us and what we're facing right now. Like credit cards, that's a big one. You always get these things in the mail. Oh yeah, you're approved for a new credit card. It's only 27% interest.
But remember, Jay, I believe it was during the Reagan administration or maybe the Bush administration afterwards that when they paid a ton of money into people in Congress and everywhere else. So when people go bankrupt, they cannot get rid of their credit card debt in a lot of instances.
Yeah, exactly. And this is going to help us a lot, especially with like getting down payments and like, oh, this is going to help so much.
Yeah. Let's hope. I'm just going through the different stuff I've got in my, what else we have going on here and different things. If there's anything else we haven't covered yet. We've covered this stuff yesterday about that. Let me get into this.
Did
Go ahead,
you
Matt.
talk about the ISIS attack.
Oh, in Syria today. Yes, there was an attack. There was strikes from the United States government in Syria of ISIS. Got wiped out a bit. Not that we're hitting anything in Iran yet. It would be a good thing to go ahead and save the citizens that are out there trying to fight for their freedoms. But in the United Kingdom today, Keir Starmer is so insane, as the tweet says from Basil the Great. He blocked a ban on cousin marriage. You read that right. The UK government is now promoting cousin fucking. First cousin fucking, my friends. Why would they do that? Let's go ahead and listen to this clip coming to us from the halls of government in the Parliament in the United Kingdom. This just blew my mind. Let's get to this one here. All right, let's play it. Let's see what they're going to say from the parliamentarian.
A marriage between first cousins carries significant health issues, many of which aren't even knowable until post-birth. When practiced generation after generation, there is a significant multiplier effect. In addition, the real impacts for the openness of our society and women's rights...
Wait, you guys can hear that in the back, right?
No sound in the back.
No. Sorry, let me bring that up in Brave. I'm in the wrong browser because I wasn't used to playing videos for the pictures that I was showing. Let's go ahead and bring this up right now, and I'll replay it for the people in the back so you guys can hear it. Sorry about that, little faux pas on my side. All right, let's bring this image up. All right, the title line, UK government is promoting cousin fucking.
A marriage between first cousins carries significant health issues, many of which aren't even knowable until post-birth. When practiced generation after generation, there is a significant multiplier effect. In addition, the real impacts for the openness of our society and women's rights in our country are also significant. After all, there are significant dynamics in sharing the same set of grandparents. On Friday, this government has a choice to let my bill go through to ban first cousin marriage to committee stage. Will the Prime Minister think again before instructing his whips to block this legislation?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we've taken our position on that bill. Thank you.
That completes Prime Minister's
questions.
So they've taken their position. That is what Keir Starmer... Why are they doing this? What would be the point? Kyle?
I just wanted to say, and do not judge me because I'm from the South, but nothing spells loving like marrying your first cousin.
Oh, but that may be a process or something that's there from a lot of the newcomers and what they have coming from their other countries. Andy, what say protectively you?
I'm not saying anything on that, but I love you to bits, Thomas, but can you please not play that voice? It makes me nauseous every time it's...
You mean this one?
Mr. Speaker, we've taken our position on that bill. Thank you.
Oh my God, I played it again. Sorry, Andy.
That's like Mike's favorite, and I don't want you to play Mike's favorite friend who you show the image, but yeah, it's kind of my Achilles heel, mate.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, I might have to go and have to lie down now. Oh dear.
Mike, your thoughts on this one? What's wrong with having first cousin marriage? Mike? Matt, go ahead.
It's like the old joke they say, if you marry, and this is a West Virginia joke, but why you shouldn't marry someone from West Virginia, because if they're not good for their family, why would they be good for yours?
Oh! Michael Sucklaw from Canada, what say you?
Not even wolves have interrelations like that at all.
Not even moles?
Wolves. You know, wolf pack?
Voles, like the little animals?
Wolf. W-O-L-F. Wolves.
Wolves, gotcha.
They don't interbreed like that at all.
No.
It's disallowed.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. What else do I have here in my little stuff to go ahead and bring up? Yeah, I'm trying to get the conversation a little bit more heated, but it's not happening just yet. What else do we have in this box of tricks that I have there? This is a sad story. but I want to bring it up anyway because this is something we all love. Dogs, things are going on. Let's get into this one. I read this one today, and it's true. It's coming from Mr. Pitbull, different one who's not in our audience. Let's get to a children's arrest leads to hundreds of dogs. We get this out here being saved. I'll bring up the picture, and then I'll tell you the story because this is something that everyone is going to align with. Let's get to it right now. Desktop, Thomas. All right, here we go. So, a children's arrest leads to hundreds of dogs being saved. When Officer Ramirez got the call, it sounded routine. 2 kids breaking into a fenced property on the edge of town. Nothing unusual for a quiet Sunday in northern Mexico, but when he arrived, the scene did not sit right. The kids weren't running. They were crying. One of them holding a torn piece of wire. The other one yelling, "They're still in there." The officers detained them and started clearing the area. That's when one of the boys explained why they'd broken in. "We're trying to feed the dogs," they said. Inside the gate, they found what the locals had whispered about for years, an illegal breeding ring hidden behind sheets, metal walls, rows of cages, some stacked 3-4 high, dozens of hungry eyes staring back. Because of the trespassing call, the police were now legally able to search the property. What they uncovered went far beyond what anyone expected: unregistered weapons, forged papers, and evidence tying the ring to a larger network of dog smuggling. By nightfall, over 300 dogs were rescued, and the 2 children were released the next day on no charges. Just gratitude from the police. And as the trucks drove off with the free dogs, neighbors lined the street cheering, not just for the rescue, but for the 2 kids who refused to stay quiet. Story like this remind us of the compassion can change the course of our lives, humans and animals alike. If you see suffering, don't turn away. Support your local shelters, adopt responsibility, and speak for those who cannot speak for themselves, because sometimes all it takes is one small act of courage to save hundreds of lives. Jay, your hand is up.
Nobel Peace Prize right there.
Yeah.
Like that gets me. Like, I'm actually tearing up right now. All those dogs got saved.
Yeah, 300.
That's beautiful.
And probably there may be a way to go ahead and adopt those, because a lot of times there are shelters down in Mexico that actually take these dogs and find ways to go ahead and find them homes in the United States. That's how I got Moose. He's a rescue from Mexico.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
Now we got to look at too, there's been some strict enforcement upgrades as far as what these people do when they get charged with this. Now, how far is it going to have to go? I mean, you're talking 300 dogs.
300 dogs, but it's down in Mexico, so that's the problem.
How many of them are going to get euthanized once they put them into the system?
Probably not. I mean, if you look at a lot of them look like healthy dogs that are there. This is just a breeding farm. It's not like they're breeding them for food in China. No, this is just about breeding them to go ahead and create dogs that they're going to go ahead and sell. At least they broke it down and they got those 300 dogs out there. They can get them, medically taken care of, the ones that can, and get them into shelters for adoption. Michael, your hand is up.
I agree with Matt on that. I wonder also how many are going to be sold to North Korea.
Probably none of them. Probably none of them are going to go. I would say it's more likely to go to China than it would be to North Korea, because there's a lot of import bans or export bans that go to that particular country. Jumping in on Iran. Iran has been offline for over 50 hours. Telemetry confirms that the nationwide internet blackout has now been extended for another 42 hours. This will continue until they see it as every last protester being dead. It's a tough situation in Iran right now. They've got pictures of, I'm not going to play the video of this one, of mass casualties coming from people getting shot by the regime. We've got fire in the streets going on right now with people throwing Molotov cocktails. And we also have additional people who are getting shot. It's just an all-out emergency in Iran right now, fighting just for people's rights. Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to allow me, but for anybody who wants to follow what's going on, can I say the name of a really, really good YouTube,
Go for it.
Podcaster? It's called 2C TV, TOUSI TV. Okay, he's an Iranian guy living in the UK. He's broadcasting several times a day. He has access to some people in Iran, because it's Iran, not Iran. And yeah, if people really want to find out what's going on out there, I highly recommend the guy. He's one of the very, very few, but I see it over here in the UK, but whatever I've seen on the mainstream is that this is all down to, people's cost of living and one thing or another.
Availability of water and fuel and just food for that matter.
It genuinely is not. People over there have they finally reached a breaking point. Yeah, they've been under the hill for 45 years, I think it is. I had friends in the British Army at the time who were over there at the time. I had to get out really sharpish. But 2CTV. If you want to find out anything about what's going on over there, I really recommend.
We'll check it out. Now, what we're showing right now, Andy, is we have more, if you want to call it AI slop that's out there, going ahead and trying to show a TR3B black manta down over South America. It's not real, folks. It's AI, and don't get your hopes up if that's what we're potentially dealing with. Michael, go ahead.
Is it possible for Iran to be able to block Elon Musk satellite internet stuff?
No, they can't. A lot of the footage that we're getting out is indeed coming from Starlink. Starlink has not shut down support to the people of Iran, and there is no way for the Iranian government to go ahead and block Starlink.
So, can he not get more people on Starlink to let out news?
You'd have to get the devices and the antennas into the country. And right now it's just going to be difficult because a lot of times you actually have to sign up for Starlink over traditional data services before it can make that satellite active. So it's just it's a catch-22 situation. Let's see what else. Oh, that's the wrong one again. What else we've got going on here? Yes, unfortunately. Someone was saying about this in the chat a second ago. Let's bring it up. Yes, Keir Starmer dancing in a bikini is one of the main reasons that they want to ban X in the country. And in Australia and probably throughout Europe. Yes, the fascists are coming for Elon Musk and they want to shut down.
They can't take a joke, can they?
No, they can't. Andy, go ahead.
I'm going to hate myself if I can find the mute button for saying this, but maybe it's actually a lot closer to the truth than people realize.
Yeah.
And if you don't see me anymore, I love you, or I'm going to be in a gulag somewhere breaking rocks.
Oh, you haven't said anything. Yes, it could be closer to the truth than we realize. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one, folks. If I can find it. Oh, God, let's not this one. I got to this one. We're up to the top. Okay, in 1971, Montgomery Ward catalog featured what they called a battery-operated facial massager, advertised as delivering a gentle, penetrating massage for relaxation and circulation. Marketed as a beauty tool, it was meant to reduce tension, improve skin tone, and sold for $4.99 with 2C batteries. This ad is a fascinating example of how products were marketed in the 60s and early 70s when companies began heavily promoting household gadgets as both a moderate convenience and wellness tools. Catalogs like Montgomery Ward and Sears were the Amazon of their day, and items like this were pitched with a language focused on health, beauty, and of course, Andy, stress relief. Interestingly, the facial massager closely resembles and later become known for very different uses. which adds to its retro charm, which often goes viral online today. At the time, however, massage devices were generally marketed as a therapeutic. Advertisements emphasized the increased blood flow, relief of facial tension, and improved absorption of creams and lotions. Montgomery Ward once was the largest American department store chains, was a pioneer in catalog sales. So, Andy, do you think this was just a facial massager?
I'm absolutely crying here, but now I know why. When was this, in the 50s? You say
1971.
All right, but we all know why the ladies you see in the TV shows and everything all had nice smiles on their faces.
Yeah,
because obviously they had these wonderful face massagers.
Yeah. In France, too, it was popular. La Redoute. I remember wondering about these usefulness of these objects when I was a child in the 70s. Oh, my God, as the audience drops off. Yes, if we get down to that point, yes, it's there. But, oh, my goodness. You got to have fun with it. Yes, I've got some interesting bookmarks of posts that are going out there. Anything else that we need to deal with? All right, here we go. If you're in Philadelphia and you need a job, you need some extra money, well, I've got a way for everybody to go ahead and jump in. What are we talking about? Let's get to it. Stop Trump, up to $1,500 a week. Hire immediately. Call today, start tomorrow. $15 to $18 an hour, plus bonus, plus overtime. Up to 77 hours per week. Drivers earn gas reimbursement. Morning and evening shifts. No previous experience required. Full-time and part-time positions are available. Weekend positions available. No fundraising. No commission. Call 267-606-5147.
We should call it.
We need to find people in the Pennsylvania area who's looking for a job. That'd be wonderful. Anything else we've got? Okay, I saw this is interesting. This is probably 3D coming into it, but it's showing an F-35 coming in and landing in front of Air Force One. Just know these craft can do vertical takeoffs and include in addition to horizontal takeoffs. So it's cool technology. It's stuff that's out there. Whether this is real or not, it shows the ability of what the F-35 can really handle. Okay. Anything else here? Nope. I think we're about done with everything. We've covered everything. How about that? Yes, we're going to start covering more global things going on at the end of every show that's happening here at Disclosure Time. There's a lot of stuff happening outside of Disclosure. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but you know what? We're going to jump into it, be in the center, and have a great conversation going on for people back and forth. Now, Brian Pemble is a person who's been part of the back for the longest time. He's been involved in a rescue mission for one of our frequent people in the back, who was known as Hollywood Harold, and I know he was instrumental in getting a wellness check put Pentagona on Harold, where they had to knock down the door and get him into the hospital. Brian, do you have any updates for us?
Yeah, that Harold's alive and well, and I don't want anybody thinking that anything bad happened to him. He may be under the weather right now, and he kind of just had everything turned off for a while, so nobody could get a hold of him. But I've heard it straight from the neighbor and from the authorities that Harold's doing well, and we wish him the best. He's a longtime friend of the show back here.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. On that note of good news, hearing that it's not too bad for Harold, I want to go ahead and thank everybody for coming out on this episode of Disclosure tonight. Let me find this and get this going. I think we got a super chat in here somewhere. Yes, we got a bunch of super chats that I absolutely missed during the show. Sorry about that, folks. Peggy and Steve starting off tonight with a $10 super chat, followed by Daryl is here. We had another one coming from the Vern Dude, who's thanking Tia, absolutely. And Brendan England, thank you very much for your donation. Thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate everybody's time and what you give to Disclosure tonight, hanging out with us today. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, but
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Or Monday, actually, but you get the idea.